Five Nights Tower Defense, one of the most talked about Roblox games in the tower defense genre today. It's fast-paced, challenging, and undeniably addictive. But while it's become a favorite for many, it also has its fair share of flaws. In this video, we're going to break down exactly why FNTD succeeds in creating a captivating gameplay formula and a progression system that keeps players hooked. But we're also going to look where it stumbles, specifically in monetization and the intense grind it demands from players. There's also another problem I want to talk about.
Okay, so we're finally back with leaks videos, guys. Yeah, it's been a while, but we finally got new leaks for the update dropping this Saturday here.
This game gets a lot right. From the start, it introduces you to the kind of strategic depth that makes every level feel challenging, yet winnable. There's this constant push to be better and unlock more powerful units and defenses. But as you'll see, not all of it is perfect, especially what's happening on screen right now. And I'll talk about it later, so you'll know what is happening on screen. It's something we need to talk about, because it's not really good. Because, unfortunately, the grind and monetization model can sometimes get in the way of fun, turning what should be an enjoyable experience into something that feels, well, a bit too demanding. So let's jump into what makes FNTD both exciting and frustrating, starting with the gameplay formula and progression system that really makes it stand out. Now, before I talk about what really grinds my gears, pun intended, let's talk about what really is good about this game, because it does have a lot of, pretty good qualities, if you know what I mean. FNTD gameplay formula is where it truly shines. At its core, it's a tower defense game, but what makes it truly unique is the depth and variety it brings to the genre. You're not just placing towers and hoping for the best. Every level challenges you to think strategically, use resources wisely, and adapt to new types of enemies. A lot of new types of enemies. A lot. The game gives you an impressive range of characters and defenses to work with, each one having unique abilities and strengths, like slowness, or like Mendo. I don't have him in my inventory right now, but he places traps, or poison or burning damage. There's a lot of things that really compound to make a perfect strategy and defense. The perfect towers, if you will. FNTD has a lot of options, and as I said before, this level of variety is a big part of what keeps players engaged. Actually, most of the updates for this game, that are weekly by the way, which is something I really like, most of these updates are just for units. They're all for units. Everything here is for units, and as the developers experiment with different combinations to tackle with harder levels and giving certain characters OP abilities, if you know what I mean. And it's not just about the battles. The progression system in FNTD is designed to keep you coming back. As you defeat waves and complete challenges, just like any TD game, any tower defense game, you earn experience points and resources, a lot of resources that take hours to grind for. Anyways, we're not going to get into that right now. All these resources that help you unlock new characters, towers, and even some currency that the players created to trade for stronger units. The more you play, the stronger your setup becomes, with that decreases exponentially over time. Now, this sense of progression creates a cycle that's incredibly satisfying. You're constantly motivated to reach the next level or unlock that next upgrade, or evolution in this game. Even though the grind can be real, there is something deeply satisfying about seeing your team grow stronger and stronger and taking on tougher challenges and scamming other people. Wait, nope, that's not the last one. Even though I really want to talk about what is good about this game, we have to admit there are scammers in this game, just like with any game that you can actually trade in. So while the trading in this game is honestly very good, and that's also one of the main highlights of this game, it can also have its downsides. So I'm trying to say that every upside I talked about in this game, it's gonna have a downside, and it's not just because of this game specifically. It's with Roblox games in general. I'm having a stroke while speaking. Please help me. Goddamn, it's in Roblox games in general. And as you progress, the game keeps introducing new types of enemies and challenges, like speedy enemies, or enemies that can regenerate, or enemies with more health, and more health, and more health. So it never feels too repetitive, but it does feel repetitive at times. The difficulty scales in a way, I would say it's a good difficulty scaling, but can't really say that, because once you get to game 3, or like FNAF 3, FNAF 4, FNAF 5, if you're using the towers that were like given in the start of the game, you're not winning. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. It's just ain't gonna happen. These enemies have way too much health for you to even deal. Even I can't deal with them, and I've been playing for like months, and my units aren't strong enough still. But as this gameplay loop is amazing, there's also another catch. While the gameplay progression system are well designed, they have the game's heavy reliance on grinding and monetization can start to wear on you. So let's talk about where FNTD starts to lose that spark. But before I want to do that, I want to talk about the trading system, as I talked before. Basically, in this game, you can trade for whatever you want. You can trade your units, you can trade crafting materials, you can trade souls, which are like things you can enchant your units with, which you can use to get specific enchants, which give you buffs on your units. I mean, one of them does give a nerf, but it's just one of them. But overall, I think this system is amazing. It creates a perfectly good currency, something stronger than even the US dollar, I would say. So, I mean, take it for what it is. As I said, there are scammers, but the majority of people you play with on this game are actually kind of nice. There's a lot of good people here, and you just gotta encounter the right people, I guess, if you want to do something or play with someone, because there are multiplayer options, and I met one of my friends one of the people who helped me, HXTD Red, I think that's his name. Yeah, I met him through trading. So, take it for what it is. As I said earlier, there's good parts, there's bad parts, but the majority of this is good. Thankfully, of course. I mean, I wouldn't play a bad tower defense game. I mean, I couldn't even play Tower Defense Simulator, and that game was excessively grindy, excessively long, and got boring pretty quickly. This one, it's grindy, but it's not as bad and grindy. Unless you're going for something like an Apex unit, which we'll talk about next. Now, before I do talk about what's bad about the actual game, you kind of have to talk about what's bad on the community side of things. Now, don't get me wrong, the YouTube is a pretty big aspect of what FNTD is and covers a lot of what is there to offer, and a lot of the devs really support these people. So I'm not going to discredit any of them, but I do kind of find it annoying that these YouTubers just milk the same content for the same videos, for the same seasons, for the same, it gets old after a while, and it also really hurts that the devs literally give anyone who has the content creator permissions literally any unit with any enchant. So basically they could have the one in, there's only 50 people with something called a developer enchant. Somehow these YouTubers are able to get those prize winners who won with that enchant, they're able to get it for themselves, no problem. Just have to type a quick code in and they get whatever they want. And I kind of find this really annoying, because while we have to grind for like days, weeks, months on end, I feel like just like Pixel Gun 3D, the content really needs to shape up if this game wants to succeed. This content is low effort, it's bad, it's appealing to the kiddos, and it just sucks in general, to be honest. I mean, I watch the leak videos. I used to, not anymore. But because that's what I really needed at the time. I really wanted to look forward to the new updates. And that's what a lot of people want to do, but these videos are just so low effort and low quality, I just have to talk about them. They're not good. Don't watch them. They're not good. So if you want to watch something that's actually a high quality, I would say subscribe to this channel. And devs, if you really, I know I criticized this earlier, but I mean, I'll make an exception. If you give me that content creator code, I will gladly, and I mean gladly, I would gladly take that content creator permissions. My username is JohnDabOnYou. I know I created that like 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, I don't know, a long time ago when that was popular. You know, no capitalizations. Please give me that. Please give me content creator. I really would like it. I want some free units. But I'll make videos on this game more often. I'll make a lot of videos on this game. Just give me that. You know, my latest videos have garnered more views than YouTubers with thousands of subscribers. And for like FNTD, I'm talking about the FNTD YouTubers. So I don't know, giving me some of that content creator permission sounds a bit good, if you know what I mean. That means give it to me. No. Okay, I'll stop begging. I'm sorry. But, let's get back to the actual content. Next, let's talk about something a bit controversial. I think this game looks ugly. I don't think it looks very good. Anyone who says it does is honestly just glazing. Now, even for a Roblox game, this looks bad, because if you've seen good Roblox games, anything that looks good, you know what is capable on this platform. This isn't the extent of what you can, and the thing is, you know what, I'm actually going to stop myself right there, because this game runs poorly. I am on this game for more than 10 minutes at a time. My device starts heating up. This game is not optimized. There are a lot of polygons in this, and it is just not necessary. Please fix it. Anyways, let's move on to the next point, which is honestly even more of a serious issue, and that is the grindiness and monetization. Now, as great as the gameplay and progression in FNTD can be, there's a downside that's hard to ignore: the grind. Let me just set this straight. If you want me to give you an example, let me tell you the most optimal example I can give just to show you how bad this is. Okay, imagine you are just a new player, and you find this fact out from a YouTube video. Okay, hear me out. There is, if you play any match, or not any match, if you play the hardest game mode, that is FNAF sister location, you're gonna have, if you go in hard mode or higher, because there's difficulty levels, you're gonna have to play something called hell mode. Hell mode is something where you get a 0.75% chance on the hardest difficulty to get something called a corrupted present. I call these hell presents because why not? Now, there is a really high chance to get a nightmare unit, which is the most rare unit in the game, or was most rare unit in the game. It's a pretty good unit, right? But from the corrupted presents, there is a 0.5% chance to get something called Old Man Consequences, which is the best unit in the game and consequently the most expensive unit in the game to get, if you want to pay for it, for trading, of course. Now there's one step further. If you want your Old Man Consequences to be good, you're going to want a shiny one, and that means that unit is permanently, has a permanent 20% damage increase buff. And if you wanted to take it a step further, you're going to want Vengeance on that thing. And Vengeance is a 0.01% chance from the goddamn enchanting soul room thingy-majingy. Now, if you want to calculate how rare that is, go ahead. You want to know how the YouTubers get it? It's because people are simping for them and they give them whatever they want, or the developers, they give them whatever they want. It is not okay. Do you know how long it would take to get this thing? This would require, I've actually gotten like 5 or 6 hell presents myself. I haven't even gotten a shiny golden Freddy. It's me, which is the 99.5% drop rate. I don't even want to know who would want to get this. This thing's way too rare for anyone to get. It's way too good for anyone to get. And there's just no reason for it being in the game because no one is gonna get it. And that's probably the main problem I have with the game, is just how grindy it can be, but how well progressed it can be at other times. It's weird, and I don't know why the developers even go through all the effort to put this themselves. Furthermore, the monetization model in FNTD Five Nights Tower Defense is, let's just say, aggressive. Essential resources and powerful upgrades are locked behind high-priced in-game currency and Robux, making it feel almost necessary to spend money if you want to keep progressing at a reasonable pace, not including the fact that everything is horribly overpriced. 50 presents, 50 chances at getting a 0.25% roll at this point, that costs 50,000 Robux. A mid-tier unit costs 2,500 Robux if you're just gonna pay it, and it's locked behind that paywall. It is not good. This is not okay, and no one talks about this because everyone who is a big YouTuber and gets to cover this game has the content creator badge, and because of that, they have to glaze this game to ever-living hell, because if they don't, they'll get revoked and they'll lose relevancy in the YouTube scheme, and it's kind of like a sponsorship, if you will. And if they stop making this game look like it's the best game ever, the developers will just absolutely destroy them. It's like they're getting paid for this at this point. Enough ranting aside, I'm not being sponsored, so I'm probably more, reliable on this issue than most others, so you can trust me. Another problem with this model is that the gameplay kind of feels repetitive after a while. If you saw, I have like almost 400 wins, and that takes a while. And if you're not willing to pay, you'll likely end up replaying the same levels over and over and over just to gather enough resources for like a single upgrade. This repetition takes away from the excitement and immersion, making this game feel more like a chore than an adventure at sometimes. And it can be fun, but most of the time it's just grinding. And here's the biggest issue. Players who do pay progress much faster, or they have the content creator badge, like I said. And this creates a noticeable gap between those who spend money and those who don't. This makes free-to-play players feel like they're being left behind, which isn't exactly fair in a game that started out so accessible. Ultimately, this grind-heavy pay-to-progress model can damage the experience. What could have been an enjoyable challenge turns into a constant reminder of what you don't have, unless you're willing to pay, of course. And, on a side note, this really reminds me a lot of Pixel Gun 3D. It's simply because this game just locks everything behind a paywall, but it's better in the fact that you can trade. In Pixel Gun 3D, you can't really trade, so you're just locked, period, end of story. But the gameplay of that game is a lot funner and a lot more, different. This game, you're going to be placing the same towers over and over again. There's no really skill in doing anything here. It's just, place a tower. Place another tower. And it gets repetitive because there's not really a difference every time. There's no RNG element either. That kind of makes it boring. And if you made it to this part of the video, I have to talk about something that the developers don't really like to talk about, but it's pretty noticeable. If you've seen the video a bit, you probably have seen Toy Chica, and there's a reason for that. It's because there's probably more Toy Chica units in this game than any other variant of any other animatronic. I am not kidding when I'm saying that there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's at least 8 Toy Chica variants, and that's a lot for a minor character in the game. I think there's something else going on with the developers to make them obsessed over this character, and if you know, you know. Anyways, in conclusion, Five Nights Tower Defense is a game that does so many things right. Its gameplay formula and progression system, when new, create an experience that's exciting, challenging, and genuinely fun. It's easy to see why so many players keep coming back to it. And it's honestly a pretty, it's a growing game. It's getting bigger and bigger. It feels satisfying to level up in this game, unlock new characters, and test your strategies against increasingly tough enemies. But then there's the other side of FNTD, the side that makes the experience feels like it's stuck behind a paywall. The grind and aggressive monetization can make it hard to fully enjoy what the game has to offer. For the players who can't or don't want to pay, the game turns into a repetitive grind. And for those who do pay, it creates an unfair gap, almost dividing the community into two. Imagine what FNTD could be if it balanced its monetization better. A game where progression feels fair, where players can enjoy the thrill of building their defenses and improving their characters without having to feel like they have to open their wallets. So what do you think? Are you a fan of FNTD, or do the grind and pay to win elements hold you back? Let me know in the comments down below, blah blah blah, and always don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay safe out there, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.